Hi there, welcome to The Peaceful Home. I'm Teresa Elling, and this video is a little bit different than what I normally do on my channel of all things home and family. My husband said I should title this Peaceful Vacation. Now, if you are here looking for tips on Puerto Vallarta, stay tuned. I am going to talk about our recent vacation. In fact, we just got back 2 days ago from a week-long stay, and I'm going to go through our top 10 of the week. If you're here for home organization, decorating, parenting tips, go ahead and check out my channel to see the other videos that I normally post. My parents have been going to Puerto Vallarta every year for many years, and they absolutely love it. And so when my wonderful in-laws gifted us a week with their timeshare, we figured we should try out Puerto Vallarta. Puerto Vallarta is a beautiful city. The water, the landscaping, the cobblestone roads are just beautiful, and you can see why it is a very popular vacation destination. This will serve a little bit as a scrapbook of sorts for my husband and I to remember our trip. But if you are interested in Puerto Vallarta, this is going to give you some ideas of some things that you can do there. I'm going to start with number 10 and work our way up to what was definitely the top of our list. Number 1 was the River Cuale. This river pours right into the Pacific Ocean, and just as it's about to meet, it splits into two and forms an island. And all along the center of the island is basically a giant Swapmeet. It was so fun to walk along here and see so many of the beautiful Mexican handicrafts, clothing, photography, baskets, blankets, toys for children, you name it. They had it all. Number 9 are the sunsets on the beach. Puerto Vallarta is located on the Pacific side of Mexico, about halfway between Mexico City and the tip of Baja. It's a huge bay, and because of that, it's not the best place for surfing because there aren't any big waves, but it's nice for swimming and for snorkeling, and it just makes the water a lot more calm. We walked on the beach a couple of nights just looking at the sunset, and it's so pretty. It was really fun to see families playing along the beach and couples going for a stroll. My husband and I really aren't even beach people per se, but we love watching the sunset. Number 8 is a little cafe called A Page in the Sun. A Page in the Sun is a cute little coffee shop and cafe, and you can just wander through and look at books. I ended up purchasing a copy of Our Town, which was a Pulitzer Prize winner, I think in like 1938, and I've heard of it, but I had never read it, so I picked that up, I think for 50 cents. This little shop had just such a relaxed vibe. You could grab a pastry and a cup of coffee and just sit and read. This place is located just above the Malecon. Now the Malecon is the boardwalk. It stretches out for about a mile, and it really is kind of the hub of the city. You've got the beach on one side and a row of restaurants and shops on the other. And actually, a lot of the restaurants have seating directly on the beach. The Malecon is often the first spot that tourists will go to really check out the city and get an idea of what Puerto Vallarta is like. Number 7 was our horseback riding adventure. This was a 5-hour tour. And I'd have to say that even though we've ridden before, if I were to do it again, I would do the 3-hour. We were definitely a bit sore afterwards. We did choose a more advanced trail. We took a main road heading uphill into the mountains, and we got to a beautiful lookout spot where you could see the majority of the bay, really beautiful. This tour was with Rancho El Charro. We were so pleased with the way we were treated. They're really good at what they do, and they're experts at pairing you with a horse that is appropriate for your skill level. After the first lookout spot, we continued up even higher, going to the peak of a mountain. And there was an orange flag there that when we were back down at the beach, we couldn't even see it. It was so high up. I think we would have needed some binoculars. As we got all the way down through the ravine, we reached a shallow, wide river. Now there's some drought going on down there. They are just at the beginning of their rainy season in June. So I'm sure these rivers are going to rise once they get some more rain. But I still thought they were beautiful. We crossed the river and came to an ecological preserve actually, and there's a cafe there that was so beautiful, so refreshing. I could have stayed there all day. They had these beautiful pothos plants, not only in these huge baskets, but hanging up on the ceiling. It had wires stretching out that allowed the vines to climb on them. It was just so pretty and green and lush there. We had agua fresca, which was wonderful. I believe it was mango, and ordered tacos and guacamole, which actually it was the best guacamole we had the entire week that we were there. We absolutely loved our horseback riding adventure and we would do it again. Number 6 were the massages. You can get a full hour massage for 20 bucks. Just a stone's throw from our resort was the first place we came to, Apuane, I believe it's pronounced. The owner was sitting outside and we liked her right away, and so we went into her shop and it was clean and beautiful and we just felt welcome there, and we decided to go ahead and get massages. Now this is a little 2-story place. When we went up, we found everything so clean, very simple. The room temperature was perfect, and we had a couple of the best massages that we've ever had. The owner, Erlinda, is very hospitable, and the women that work in her shop are equally as skilled and professional. She told us that there were 14 massage shops just within like a 1 to 2 block radius. That is some stiff competition. But our experience there was so great, we actually went back the next day. Carmen worked with Erlinda the first day, and then Ramona on the second day. This is a full-service salon. It also offers facials, manicures and pedicures, waxing, and even ictotherapy. Erlinda offered for us to have the fish spa for free, and so we decided to try it. Another thing that I wouldn't have even imagined to put on my bucket list because I had never heard of it before. You put your feet into a tank of water with these little tiny fish, and they actually eat the dead skin off of your feet. It was such a wild experience, but really fun, and we just sat there talking with Erlinda while our feet were becoming exfoliated and soft. I believe our resort offered a massage for $100 to $150 an hour, so you definitely need to have a massage at one of the shops just on the street, and I'm going to leave Erlinda's address and information down below. It's getting harder and harder to rate the things that we did in Puerto Vallarta, but we are at number 5, a yacht ride. We took a yacht from the marina, which is at the northern end of the bay, and we took the boat across the bay about an hour to the other side. This was a beautiful yacht, and we were able to get the seats right at the very front at the bottom. This enabled us to actually lay out in the sun or sit up with a little bit of a backrest just to look at the bay and the water. It was a beautiful day. The boat ride was smooth. We were offered drinks and chips and guacamole on the ride over. We arrived at the beach, which is a private beach accessible only by boat. And there were just beautiful areas to lounge, to lay in the sun, even a lot of covered spaces where you could just rest or nap in the shade. We had really delicious agua fresca there. It was so good and so refreshing after our boat ride. We also went snorkeling for the first time here. Well, we didn't see a whole lot. We did see some really interesting fish. We saw a pipefish, a puffer fish, quite a few smaller but colorful fish. Not bad for our first time out. On the boat ride back, we were served lunch, which was kind of, I would say, a sushi bowl, a beautiful tuna with seaweed and shredded carrot and cucumber, rice, a lovely salad in like a citrus vinaigrette, as well as a toast with prosciutto and smoked salmon, cheeses, brownies. I think that was about it. Number 4 is Pancho's Tacos. Now, every Uber and taxi driver we talked to, when we asked them their favorite spot, it was Pancho's. I had done quite a bit of research before we went, and I had heard several people on YouTube say that they loved Pancho's tacos. They specialize in tacos al pastor. This is a method of cooking meat where it's done like shawarma. The Lebanese immigrants actually taught it to the Mexicans many years ago. Pancho's is open at 4 p.m. and I think open until after midnight, maybe 1 a.m. But regardless of when you go, there seems to be a wait. We had a line that was down the street to the corner, and we waited about 30 minutes. So the line actually moved fairly quickly. They don't offer takeout. You have to sit in their little shop, and it is tiny. They actually have more tables out on the sidewalk than they do inside. Of course, we ordered al pastor tacos. They came with 4 types of salsa and lime. We also got guacamole and chips, which were delicious. My husband ordered a chicken quesadilla, which is a little different than here in the States. It actually was open-faced, and I think it was my favorite thing. What they do is they put cheese on the grill, put the tortilla on, and flip it over. The cheese is browned and grilled and bubbly, and then they pour chicken on top and the toppings, and it was so scrumptious. Just the texture of the melted cheese with the tortilla. I noticed on their menu they also had potatoes with cheese, which I would definitely try if I was going back. I also had a pineapple margarita, which is one of their specialties, and it was delicious. Don't miss Pancho's Tacos. Number 3 is another restaurant, but probably not what you're expecting. The name of it is Littenbrod, and it's a Danish bakery and cafe. I heard about it before we went, and I knew I wanted to try it because I love pastries. Honestly, this place kind of blew our minds. The pastries were amazing, absolutely beautiful. I just gazed in this pastry case trying to decide what we were going to get. The raspberry cinnamon roll and the almond croissant were my favorites. Kevin got a ham sandwich on focaccia, and I'm not kidding. He said it was the best sandwich he had ever eaten. The bread was so incredibly soft. They even have a bread wall where they display all of their fresh bread for the day. We actually wanted to go back again, but we weren't able to fit it into the rest of our week. Don't miss Littenbrod. If you love pastries and sandwiches, it was amazing. Number 2, Mismaloya Beach. This was about a 20-minute drive. We took a taxi from the southern end of the Malecon. It's a little fishing cove where one of the rivers comes to meet the ocean. There's about 8 little restaurants, more like beach kitchens along the beach. It can be hard to choose one because usually the workers are out with their menus vying for your business. But when you're finally ready to settle down, they will help you get lounge chairs and tables, take your order, and basically that's your spot for the day. Right away, Kevin ordered a limeade and I had a pina colada without alcohol. It was amazing. It was so creamy. It tasted like a coconut pineapple milkshake. I actually ordered a second one later on in the day. This was one of our favorite days. We were just able to rest. We napped. We read books and magazines. We went snorkeling. It just felt so restful. And of course, the view was beautiful. There were a lot of families playing at the beach. Again, because it's very safe. There aren't big waves that could knock kids over, and the water is so warm. We ordered tacos, and these were some of the best tacos that we had. I know I said I was only doing my top 10, but if you wait till the end, I will tell you about one more taco spot that we went to. The other great thing about Mismaloya Beach is that it is the closest beach to Los Arcos. Now, this is an ecological preserve for birds and sea life. It's a series of large kind of rock islands just a bit from the shore, and they have arches through them. The water is beautifully clear here. There's an area that's roped off for snorkelers, although you are not allowed to touch the rocks. Boats are also not allowed to get close to the rocks or go through the arches. It was very easy to grab a boat from Mismaloya. There are tons in the bay and people going around asking if you need a boat ride. But we chose the pescador, and the captain was Roberto, and he was very sweet. He spoke great English, told us a lot about the area, toured us around Los Arcos, and waited for us while we snorkeled. He gave us a slice of regular sandwich bread. We'd pull little bits apart and it would just bring the fish. And they just swarmed around us, which can feel a little intimidating. We also saw a zebra eel, and we also saw a spotted eagle ray. It's like a deep chocolate brown with white spots. It was gorgeous. It was just flowing silently, quietly along the bottom. The snorkeling at Los Arcos was absolutely the favorite of my husband. And we also really just enjoyed the boat ride. We both grew up water skiing and we love boats, and we actually got to go on 3 boat rides during this week. Now, before I get to our #1 adventure in Puerto Vallarta, I want to let you know that I am going to do a second video on the things that you need to know as a first-timer visiting Puerto Vallarta. Going to talk about the research I did before we went, the things we discovered while we were there, and just a lot of helpful tips if you're planning a trip there. Our #1 adventure was Rhythms of the Night. This is kind of a 4-part adventure. It's a boat ride from the marina to the other side of the bay, very close to where we went on the yacht. It is a buffet dinner, a show, and the boat ride back. Now, I have to admit, the boat ride over, the seas were very choppy. Several people got seasick. When we arrived, everything is lit up on this beach by tiki torch, and it's accessible only by boat. This means that the crew, the cooking staff, all of the food, everything is brought in daily by boat. You disembark and walk along this beautiful pathway where you're seated for dinner, and we were right on the water's edge. In fact, the waves started coming up and hitting and splashing our table. We had a delicious dinner with a lot of options to choose from, including vegan and vegetarian options. There was a beautiful salad with berries and nuts. There were plates of cheeses and fruit, roasted vegetables, rice, beans, fish, shrimp, chicken, and beef, so plenty to choose from. There was a cheesecake, a chocolate cake, and the fried tortillas in cinnamon sugar. After our meal, we were able to walk around a bit. Again, jungle-like foliage, giant bamboo and huge leaves, and just everything we looked at was so pretty. Everywhere we went felt like a little adventure, even going to the bathrooms, over a bridge, or through some brush. They blow a conch shell when it's time to start going to the arena for the show. This show is put on by one of the creators of Cirque du Soleil, and I have to admit it was amazing. Everything from acrobatics to not really trapeze, I'm not sure what to call it, but the performers were holding on to a rope. Absolutely no safety support underneath them, and they were not tied in because they released the rope several times, or they would grab on, wrap this rope around their wrist, and be lifted in the air to do all kinds of maneuvers that were crazy. They also had these guys jumping on what basically looked like a teeter-totter, and that was really fun. There were also dancers and singers. We were sitting on benches with no back support, so I feel like the show was just about the right length, just long enough to really enjoy all these amazing performers, but not too long that you began to get sore sitting on a hard surface with no back support. After that, it was a very peaceful ride home, and it was amazing to see the shoreline with all the lights. At one point, we had several seagulls that were flying right next to us, keeping up with our speed. They were diving and crisscrossing with each other. Although we really loved the beaches, the river, the boat rides, if we had to pick our top, it would be Rhythms of the Night. I told you I would tell you one more bonus taco spot, and this one was within walking distance of our resort, and one of the locals told us about it. So we walked down there. It's called Alberto's, and it's just this little stand with some outdoor seating. We actually sat right at the stand watching the guys cook inside. They handed our food to us right through the window. I had a grilled marlin taco and a crispy fish taco. So good. And Kevin had a chicken taco and a beef taco, and he said they were both great. We also would have gone back to Alberto's if we had had more time. Well, to my viewers, friends, and family that wanted to know about our trip, this really summarizes a lot of it. And for those of you that are looking to take a trip to Puerto Vallarta, I hope this was helpful. Be on the lookout for my second video coming soon. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Peaceful Home. I hope you have a great day.